Hello everyone, welcome back to RIGME. This is your host, the Random Idiot, and we're getting close to finishing up these Codex entries. Well, for now anyway. So let's go ahead and get back into it. Uh-oh. Give me a sec here. Wrong screen. Alright, so we'll just jump right into ships and vehicles.
Larger warships are generally classified in one of four weights. Frigates are small, fast ships used for scouting and screening of larger vessels. Frigates often operate in wolf pack flotillas. Cruisers are middleweight combatants, faster than dreadnoughts and more heavily armed than frigates. Cruisers are the standard patrol unit and often lead frigate flotillas. Dreadnoughts are kilometer-long capital ships mounting heavy, long-range firepower. They are only deployed for the most vital missions. Carriers are dreadnought-sized vessels that also carry large numbers of fighters. Smaller vessels are almost exclusively used in a support role to the warships during combat. Fighters are one-man craft used to perform close-range attacks on enemy ships. Interceptors are one-man craft optimized for destroying opposing fighters.
The Normandy itself.
The Normandy is a prototype starship developed by the Human Systems Alliance with the assistance of the Citadel Council. It is optimized for scouting and reconnaissance missions in unstable regions using state-of-the-art stealth technology. For most ships, the heat generated through standard operations is easily detectable against the absolute zero background of space. The Normandy, however, is able to temporarily sink this heat within the hull. Combined with refrigeration of the exterior hull, the ship can travel undetected for hours or drift passively for days of covert observation. This is not without risk. The stored heat must eventually be radiated, or it will build to levels capable of cooking the crew alive. Another component of the stealth system is the Normandy's revolutionary Tantalus drive, a Mass Effect core twice the standard size. The Tantalus drive generates mass concentrations that the Normandy falls into, allowing it to move without the use of heat-emitting thrusters.
Pretty interesting, alright. The Mako.
The Mako infantry fighting vehicle was designed for the System Alliance's frigates. Though the interior is cramped, an M35 is small enough to be carried in the cargo bay and easily deployed on virtually any world. With its turreted 155mm mass accelerator and coaxially mounted machine gun, the Mako can provide a fire team with weapon support as well as mobility. Since Alliance Marines may be required to fight on any world, the Mako is environmentally sealed and equipped with microthrusters for use on low-gravity planetoids. The Mako is powered by a sealed hydrogen-oxygen fuel cell and includes a small Element Zero core. While not large enough to nullify the vehicle's mass, the core can reduce it enough to be safely airdropped. When used in conjunction with thrusters, it also allows the Mako to extricate itself from difficult terrain.
It's a pretty cool vehicle. You actually get to drive it around. Man, I wonder if they'll eventually just, for like our striker system, I wonder if it's just going to end up kind of turning into that. Oh man. So we'll go into secondary now, and there's more ships and vehicle stuff to get through. So the FTL drive, the appearance. So new space travelers ask, what does it look like outside of the ship moving at faster than light speed? Part of the answer can be seen in a simple pane of glass. Light travels slower through glass than it does through open air. Light also moves slower in conventional space than it does in a high-speed Mass Effect field. This causes refraction. Any light entering at an angle is bent and separated into a spectrum. Objects outside the ship will appear refracted. The greater the difference between the objective between the objective exterior and subjective interior speeds of light, the greater the refraction. As the subjective speed of light is raised within the fields, objects outside will appear to redshift, eventually becoming visible only to radio telescope antenna. High-energy electromagnetic sources normally hidden to the eye become visible in the high blue spectrum. As the speed of light continues to be raised, X-ray, gamma ray, and eventually cosmic ray sources become visible. Stars will be replaced by pulsars, the accretion disk of black holes, quasars, and gamma ray bursts. To an outside observer, a ship within a Mass Effect drive envelope appears blue shifted. If within a field that allows travel at twice the speed of light, any radiation emits as twice the energy as normal. If the ship is in a field of about 200 times the speed of light, it radiates visible light as X-rays and gamma rays, and the infrared heat from the hull is blue shifted up into the visible spectrum or higher. Ships moving in FTL are visible at great distances, though their signature only propagate at the speed of light. It's interesting. I actually wonder how much science they use to, real-world science to do this. I'll have to do some research on that. So the crew considerations. Cabins give each individual 10 cubic meters of space. On larger vessels, private rooms are common. As ships get smaller, the number of crew packed into a single wardroom increases. The Stars prefer shared spaces even on large vessels, while Krogan territorial instincts make it impossible for them to cohabitate even on the smallest ships. On smaller vessels, hot bunking is the norm, just like the Navy. Crew members assigned to different watches share the same bunk. When one gets off duty, he wakes up the person in the bunk. While that crewman is on duty, the first gets his rack time. Spacecraft compartments can be isolated by airtight doors in case of decompression. The cinematic vision of explosive decompression is fiction. Old compartments either take enough damage that occupants are killed instantly, or leak slowly enough that they're able to reach protective gear. Compartments are equipped with emergency life support apparatus, fireproof plastic bubbles with air bottles, small and stowed that, comfortably accommodate one individual inflated. Damage control procedures cut off ventilation to burning compartments. Without oxygen to consume, fires die in seconds. The compartment is repressurized afterwards for crew recovery. Mass Effect fields create an artificial gravity, AGRAV, plane below the decks, preventing muscle atrophy and bone loss in 0G. Larger vessels arrange their decks perpendicular to their thrust axis. The highest decks are at the bow and the lowest at the engines. This allows AGRAV to work with the inertial effects of thrust. Ships that can land arrange their decks laterally so that the crew can move about while the vessel's on the ground. Warships normally turn off their AGRAV systems during combat, reducing the heat generated by systems and increasing combat endurance. To provide a point of reference for navigating in 0G, floors are painted a different color from the walls and ceiling. Excuse me. So Starship's cruisers. Cruiserweight starships are the standard combat unit encountered away from large naval bases, the poor, bloody infantry of most fleets. Nimble scouting frigates neither have the punch nor the stamina to stand up to serious combat, and the mighty dreadnoughts are a strategic resource carefully hoarded and committed to the most critical battles. Cruisers perform routine independent, show the flag, patrols in settled systems, and lead flotillas of frigates in small engagements, such as pirate suppression campaigns. In major fleet engagements, cruiser squadrons support the dreadnought battle line by screening their flanks against enemies attempting to maneuver for a main gun bow shot from their vulnerable broadsides. All Alliance cruisers are named after cities of Earth. The Dreadnought. The Dreadnought is the ultimate arbiter of space warfare. Millions of tons of metal, ceramic, and polymer dedicated to the projection of firepower against an enemy vessel of like ability. No sane commander would face a Dreadnought with anything less than another Dreadnought. A Dreadnought's power lies in the length of its main gun. Dreadnoughts range from 800 meters to 1 kilometer long, with a main gun of commensurate length. So I'm guessing they're accelerating. The reason why the guns are better on bigger ships, it has more time to keep accelerating. That's pretty scary. And that's exactly what they get into. So an 800-meter mass accelerator is capable of accelerating one 2 kilogram slug to a velocity of 283 kilometers per second every 2 seconds. Each slug has the kinetic energy of 38 kilotons of TNT, 3 times the energy released by the fission weapon that destroyed Hiroshima. Jesus. When used to bombard planets, some of this kinetic energy is lost due to atmospheric re-entry friction. As a rule of thumb, each Earth atmosphere of air pressure saps approximately 20% of the projectile's impact energy. The Turing fleet presently has 37 dreadnoughts, the Asari-21 and the Solarian-16. Humanity has 6. With an additional hull under construction Arcturus station. Alliance battleships are named for mountains of Earth. So they have the Everett class, the Everest, the Fuji, and the Elbrus. The Kilimanjaro class, Kilimanjaro, Taishan, Shasta, and the Aconcagua under construction. That's pretty cool. Alright, then the fighters. Fighters are single-pilot combat small craft. They are lightweight enough that they can be economically fitted with powerful exocores, making them capable of greater acceleration and sharper maneuvers than starships. Kinetic barrier shields change starship battles from short, vicious bloodbaths to extended, indecisive slugging matches. Only the main gun of a dreadnought could punch a mass accelerator slug through the barriers of an opposing dreadnought. This changed with the development of fighter-launched mass disruptor torpedo, a short-range weapon that can penetrate kinetic barriers to destroy their projector assemblies. Starship guardian defenses must be overwhelmed through swarm tactics. Fighter groups can take heavy casualties pressing their torpedo attacks home. Once fighter-launched torpedoes have crippled an enemy's barriers, the mass accelerators on frigates and cruisers can make short work of them. Interceptors are a type of fighter optimized to attack other fighters, with no ability to damage starships. Interceptors are used to screen friendly units from incoming fighter attack. So kind of like a World War II style combat scenario, I guess. It's pretty interesting. Then the frigates, which is the Normandy. Frigates are light escort and scouting vessels. They often have extensive guardian systems to provide anti-fighter screening for capital ships and carry a squad of Marines for security and groundside duty. Unlike larger vessels, frigates are able to land on planets. Frigate drive systems allow them to achieve higher FTL cruise speeds. They also have proportionally larger thrusters and lighter design mass, allowing them to maneuver more handily. In combat, speed and maneuverability make a frigate immune to the long-range fire of larger vessels. In the time it takes projectiles to reach them, I guess there's some typos in here. Frigates are no longer where they were predicted to be. In fleet combat, frigates are organized into wolfpack flotillas of 4 to 6. Wolfpacks speed through enemy formations, hunting enemy vessels whose kinetic barriers have been taken down by fighter-launched disruptor torpedoes. The wolfpack circle strafes vulnerable targets using their superior speed and maneuverability to evade return fire. Alliance frigates are named for great battles in human history. Oh, like Normandy. Starship sensors. Light lag prevents sensing in real time at great distances. A ship firing its thrusters at the Charon relay can be easily detected from Earth 5.7 light years, 6 billion kilometers away. But Earth will only see the event 5 hours and 45 minutes after it occurs. Due to the light speed limit, defenders can't see enemies coming until they have already arrived. Because there is FTL travel and communications but no FTL sensors, frigates are crucial for scouting and picket duties. Passive sensors are used for long-range detection, while active sensors obtain short-range, high-quality targeting data. Passive sensors include visual, thermographic, and radar detectors that watch and listen for objects in space. A powered ship emits a great deal of energy. The heat of the life support systems, the radiation given off by power plants and electrical equipment, the exhaust of the thrusters. Starships stand out plainly against the near absolute zero background of space. Passive sensors can be used during FTL travel, but incoming data is significantly distorted by the effects of the mass effect envelope and Doppler shift. Active sensors are radars and high-resolution radars that emit a ping of energy and listen for return signals. The latter have a narrower field of view than radar, but radar resolution allows images of detected objects to be assembled. Active sensors are used when a ship is moving at FTL speeds. Thrusters. The mass effect drive core decreases the mass of a bubble of space-time around a ship. This gives the ship the potential to move quickly, but does not apply any motive power. Ships use their sublight thrusters for motive power at FTL. There are several varieties of thrusters varying in performance versus economy. All ships are equipped with arrays of hydrogen-oxygen reaction control thrusters for maneuvering. Ion drives electrically accelerate charged particles as a reaction mass. They are extremely efficient but produce negligible thrust. They're still mainly used for automated cargo. Automated cargo barges. The primary commercial engine is a fusion torch, which vents the plasma of the ship's power plant. Fusion torches offers powerful acceleration at the cost of difficult heat management. Torch fuel is fairly cheap. Helium-3 skimmed from gas plants and deuterium extracted from seawater or cometary bodies. Propellant is hydrogen, likewise skimmed from gas jets. In combat, military vessels require accelerations beyond capability of fusion torches. Warship thrusters inject antiprotons into a reaction chamber filled with hydrogen. The matter-antimatter annihilation provides unmatched motive power. The drawback is fuel production. Antiprotons must be manufactured one particle at a time. Most antimatter production is done at massive solar arrays orbiting energetic stars, making them high-value targets in wartime. Huh. Again, I really wonder if there's any science in this. The exhaust diffusion in antiproton drives is measured in millions of degrees Celsius. Any vessel caught behind them will melt like wax in a blowtorch. Any long-duration interstellar flight consists of two phases, acceleration and deceleration. That is cool. Starships accelerate to the halfway point of the journey, then flip 180 degrees and apply thrust on the opposite vector, decelerating as they finish the trip. The engines are always operating and peak speed is attained at the middle of the flight. That's pretty realistic. I like that. Then ablative armor. A warship's kinetic barriers reduce damage from solid objects, but can do nothing to block guardian lasers, particle beams, and other forms of directed energy weapons, or DEW. The inner layer of warship protection consists of a ablative armor plate designed to boil away when heated. The vaporized armor material scatters a DEW beam, rendering it ineffectual. A scaffold is built around the interior pressure hull with sheets of ablative armor hung from the structure. Ships typically have multiple layers of armor separated by empty baffles. Space is often used for cargo storage. Cruisers, which lack the internal space to fit dedicated fighter hangars, store these shipboard fighter components in the baffles. It is not unknown for enlisted crew to build illicit alcohol distilleries in some obscure corner of the baffles, safe from prying eyes. So it seems like nothing's changed with the military. When there's a will, there's a way. Alrighty, so with that, we'll call it an end to this video, and hopefully, we'll know más. Alrighty, hope you guys have a good day.